United, and with one of the best rivalries over the last few years in the Canadian Football League. To do it, thank you very much for joining us here. Last night's game was absolutely terrific, and I'm sure we've got another one in store for you here tonight, as that is hammered away by Maltos and will be taken by Calvin Turner Jr. with Janarian Grant unable to go. He'll handle return duties, takes it back to the 30, back to the 35, found a bit of space, and eventually gang tackled at the 40, a 31-yard return.
You know, with Nick Arbuckle, the biggest thing for him, talking to him this week, he talked about, I just got to make sure I do what I need to do to help my teammates. I don't have to push the ball downfield. I know we have a really good defense. We have to make sure we can move the ball, keep ourselves in a position where we can easily move the chains and keep going. You get Various Daniels, really good receiver for him. A lot of weapons for him. He's excited to make plays this game.
Confidence at an all-time high for Arbuckle. Starts it here just outside his 40. And Sankey moved up, saw something that would draw the flags. And 4 of them on the field.
Yeah, I don't think they had enough players on the field, so they drew the penalty originally to make sure they could get another defensive substitution.
So as a coach, how are you dealing with that? First defensive player of the year, Lapo.
It happened last night, too. The Redblacks game last night, there was a penalty in the first play.
Illegal procedure, procédure illégale. Toronto number 58. Toronto 58, 5-yard penalty.
We'll call procedure here.
And it looked like Byron Bonds, the new rookie football player, was late to get out on the football field. So I'm sure he'll hear from Noel Thorpe on that, but that's situational football. They take the penalty, get their defensive lineman, get everybody up on the field.
First and 15 here for the Argos on the road. Beautiful night in Montreal. Arbuckle looks to his right, throws in that direction, and it's Coatsy. Gets back to 5 yards, lost on the penalty. Let's take a look at this Argos offense for 2025.
Ryan Hunter, 24 most outstanding offensive lineman in the CFL, bumped out to tackle, and he might be playing at tackle for a while. Demonte Coatsy, first in the CFL with a 20-yard average. This is the big play receiver for the Argos.
92 targets last year for Coatsy. They go back to him again, covered well by Lorenzo Burns, and that'll bring up third down for the visitors.
Yeah, a couple of back-to-back throws to Coatsy. This was the guy that you talked to Ryan Dinwiddie. Hey, we want a guy that the quarterback can just throw it up and trust that a big player can make plays on the football. Had a tremendous year, one of their great re-signings in the offseason. Wasn't sure whether he could have traveled down south, but they were excited to get him back in the building.
860 yards in 17 games last year for Coatsy. Letcher takes it just inside his own 15, near sideline, puts on the brakes, flag thrown on the play, and he takes it back to about the 20-yard line, second in the league in returning overall last year behind Janarian Grant. There is a look at Mr. 4-0, Davis Alexander.
Bloc illégal, illegal block. Montreal 87, Montreal 87.
So Davis is going to...
Half the distance, first down.
Going to start up, backed up inside his 8-yard line to start the season for him. Jason Moss talked about in the offseason that, hey, we have a veteran core in the receiving core. We have a veteran offense. Davis Alexander's been in the building for a number of years. We have the whole offense available to him. So expect to do a lot of different things and have their entire system ready to go. They're not treating him as a young guy.
Yeah, he's been around for a few years. Only attempted 21 passes through 2022 and 2023. And then obviously last year, more of an opportunity. They'll hand the ball off here on first down to Thomas Erlington, a big part now of this Montreal offense.
Jamar McGloster, 6'7" in his 5th year. Coach Moss said he had an outstanding camp. You want a good offensive line to help protect a young quarterback. I can't wait to watch Tyson Philpott. 10 games last season, 780 yards, 5 TDs. He was the big play receiver when they lost Austin Mack to the NFL. He's the guy who showed up and made a ton of plays early in the season before his injury.
Was on pace for 118 catches over a full season before the injury. They'll hand it off again, right up the middle. First down out to the 30 for Thomas Erlington.
If you watch, nice push in the offensive line. Thomas Erlington gets nice north-south lane on the inside zone. Davis Alexander's reading the backside end, tells Chatfield to get wide, creates that space for Erlington to get that big gain on 1st and 10. An area that this team really wants to get better at running the football. They're 7th in the CFL last year running the football. It's a great start.
22 yards on 2 carries. Back to him again, right up the middle again. They'll take it up to the 35, tack on about 5 more. Let's take a look at Toronto's D.
Derek Parrish, 2nd year from Houston. That's the veteran of the Argonaut defensive line. Only 2 years, 6 sacks last season. I think they're going to expect a lot of things from him. Now, Cameron Judge comes over. Hey, this is his 100th game tonight, so a big stat for him. And in the back end, Tavares McFadden was a tremendous pickup for them. 12 games last season. He had a pick 6, and he had a 78-yard lateral in the Grey Cup for a touchdown.
Davis Alexander, 4 options out to his right. Under some pressure, gets it away. It'll be about a yard shy of a first down. His first completion of the year goes to Tyler Sneed, who had 24 catches over 7 games in which he was healthy last year.
Yeah, I like this. As he feels a little bit of pressure, just keeps moving around, trying to be in a pocket athlete. And again, the quarterback, he can't find his primary. Can he find his next read? Finds his next throw, is able to put it in a situation where they're going to have a measurement. And, you know, this looks to be this short. As an offense, you're always going to go for this.
Half a yard.
Half a yard. You're going to trust your offensive line's going to be able to get the push, stay on the field.
And about even less than half a yard. So this offense will not be going anywhere. Jason Moss will send in the call.
And you'll see some type of quarterback sneak here. You don't want to put the ball backwards 7 yards, Dustin. You want to hand it. You want the quarterback be under center and either go straight up the middle or off tackle. Sometimes on a wider wedge. You'll see Caleb Evans has got a lot of experience in this. But you're going to try to get as low as you can, get underneath, follow your offensive line.
Evans, 26-year-old, 3rd year with the Alouettes. Slides up under center, pushing ahead, needing just inches, flags on the play. He has the yardage for the first down.
Early in the season, we do have some younger players on the defensive line of the Argonauts. Is one of them offsides? That's usually what happens in this scenario.
You know, let me ask you that. The first 3 touches.
Hors-jeu, offside, Toronto, 94, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's Chatfield. The first 3 touches of the game were to the running back from Montreal. How much you factor into a defensive line that's never played together, and you're like, you know what, let's run it down their throat early in a game?
Yeah, I think you're going to go into establishing the run. You know, whether it's a young defensive line or not, it's kind of what you want to do offensively more. What you want to do than what the defensive line's doing, especially you don't even know if they're going to be good against the run early in the season.
Throwing here, or at least he wants to, near side, has Rambo, and they'll give him about 8 on that first down completion. His first catch of the year, had 61 in 2024.
Yeah, and Charleston Rambo was another big play receiver last year for this football team. This quick underneath route, close to the linebackers. Good vision by Davis. I loved how he flipped his hips quickly, found his underneath throw to his left. Put him in another 2nd and short, run percentage down.
Creeping up towards midfield, the Alouettes on their first offensive possession of the ball game. Austin Mack over in the slot to the right. Alexander dumps it off. Some room for Sneed. He's got a first down. Takes it down inside the 40. That's his 2nd catch of the ball game and their biggest offensive play of the evening.
2nd and 2 is a very heavy rundown. You're going to get experienced man coverage. Watch Sneed coming across the formation. He just outruns the man defender chasing him. You outflank the defense, create an explosive play, put yourself in field goal range. Sneed's the fast guy in that group, 5'7", from ECU, but East Carolina, but a really tremendous football player.
Alexander has started the game 3 for 3. Back into the belly of his running back, Sean Thomas Erlington. This time, tackle is made after a pickup of just a couple.
Mr. Winton McManus in on the tackle, making himself known to start the season, the outstanding linebacker for the Argonauts.
McManus came in at number 5, I believe, in our TSN top 50 players heading into the 2025 season.
I heard there's a rumor you were 51, Dustin. Is that true?
Definitely not. I don't think I would have made 5,100. Here's Alexander again. Gets it away. And another first down as they march on. Austin Mack hops back up, but it's blown down. And that's his first touch of the evening.
Right here, you're going to see a soft spot in the defense. Okay, you're just spreading the defense out. There's zone coverage. The corner expands. I throw inside where there's space. Good read by Davis Alexander. Seeing the pictures. It's all about seeing pictures for a quarterback, making sure, you know, your eyes are right and seeing where the throws are. Austin Mack just in zone coverage, sits down. Nice, easy first down.
1st and 10 from the Toronto 26. Alexander gets it away. End zone shot. Philpott lays out. No. Almost had it. Alexander knows he had him in behind the defense.
Post from the wide side of the field with a little bit of play action. He's taking the one-on-one on the outside. He's got no safety help. Just, he had to make a little bit of a move. You're going to see right here, a little bit of move. Throw off his angle a little bit. Just missed that timing a little bit between Philpott and Davis. Again, Philpott was spectacular last season. I expect this to happen more and more as these guys get more comfortable playing together.
This place would have erupted. Philpott had 5 touchdowns in 9 games last year. Alexander under pressure trying to escape, and he's taken down right in his face. Nowhere to go. Anthony Lanier gets his first sack of the season.
Anthony Lanier coming over from Saskatchewan. If you watch him, he gets good push. And what you're trying to do, right, you're trying to create a dent in the pocket so he can get through. As Davis starts to scramble because he doesn't trust what's happening, Lanier bench presses his guard off and is able to make the play. Really good play by the veteran football player brought over this season. I heard talking to the coaches for the Argos, they've really enjoyed him. He's been a pleasure in training camp and can give them a big player in the middle of the field.
38-yarder for Maltos straight away, and that one is wide left. He missed it, and it's going to fly through the end zone. Maltos 91.7% last year on field goals. Blows that opportunity left. Arbuckle, what a performance. One we'll never forget in last year's Grey Cup. He'll have the ball when we return. Well, let's flash it back a little bit. The stage was set, biggest stage in Canadian football, against the Bombers. Chad Kelly's hurt, and Arbuckle got the job done.
He did what he's had to do in the Grey Cup. The Bombers played a lot of coverage. He was able to check it down, keep his offense on the field. A couple big strikes later in the game. And again, you want to make sure at the biggest stage you're playing your best football. He had a great football game that night, able to become the MVP.
1-0 Montreal leads. Toronto, after that missed field goal, will start at their 40. The veteran, Tavares Daniels, and now pushing and shoving on the far side, but that will be taken care of quickly.
Tavares Daniels going offsides, actually running 5 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Offside, Toronto, number 80. Numéro 80, 5-yard penalty, 5 verges de pénalité, premier repris, first down repeated.
Here's what we were talking about with Arbuckle before winning the Grey Cup. I mean, that's a pretty short list of guys, fewest wins before getting the chance and delivering.
Yeah, you know, and you're always talking about having that opportunity, and when that opportunity comes up. You know, no different than his head coach, Ryan Dimwitty. It gets his first start in the Grey Cup in 2007, Bombers, Riders. But he had a good defense around him.
Mital with his first catch of the season. Short pickup. Let's take a look at the Montreal D.
I started out looking for this guy, and I'm sure the coaches are. Byron Vaughn's a rookie defensive end. Heard he had a great camp. Didn't come out for the first play of the game, so we'll keep an eye on him. Make sure he's out there all the time. Tyrese Beverett, how important. This guy was the first transaction in the offseason, Dusty. The first player signed to an extension. Spectacular. And Marc-Antoine Decoy. This guy's long. He can run. He's physical. He can intercept. Can't wait to watch this guy all season long. down.
Arbuckle, second and long, far side, completed. Coxie, 3 Alouettes there, and he will not pick up the first down. Forced out of bounds by Lorenzo Burns, among others.
Just a couple long second long situations. Going to be really hard to go ahead and convert here. Everybody plays off. Just you got to stay out of these second and longs. See Ryan and Mark Miller talking to him what's happening. Got to get rid of those early penalties on first down.
Haggerty set to let it fly from his own 35, averaged just over 50 per kick last year, second best in the league behind Jake Julian out in Edmonton. Good first drive for Davis Alexander, 4 for 5, 43 yards. The job is his now here in Montreal, and the Alouettes crowd here tonight, full support of their young quarterback. But lots of talk. Last season, 4-0, very impressive, and they make the decision to turn the keys over to Davis Alexander. What's his long-term potential look like, Lavel?
Well, I think a couple things made that decision easier for, Jason Moss and Danny Machocha. One, he was in the building for a couple of years, so you already knew his work ethic, how he's going to prepare. And then he does get that opportunity. He gets 4 starts. He goes 4-0 in those starts, and he comes off the bench in one of them to get their 5th win. So they had a lot of good data points so they could make that decision, I think.
No surprises.
Yeah, no surprise. And then certainly sometimes, you also like the fact that you can get him at 28. It's a good age for him. He's going to be in a reasonable contract situation. But everything about him from Jason Moss is he's what Jason Moss wants. A competitive guy who works his tail off, that the players want to play hard for. Jason said when he wasn't the starter, he was preparing like the starter every day. He loved his competitiveness, and that no plays were too big for him when he had his opportunity.
Needs 8 yards here for a first down. 3 options out to his left, 2 to his right. Zips it in there, didn't he? And that'll be a first down as he goes back to Tyler Sneed, team leading 3rd catch of the ball game.
This is what you do when you get some good yardage. You go up first down, you have one guy clear out, and you have a second guy come inside. This is an easy timing throw. Get the ball out of your hands on rhythm. When you get positive yards on 1st and 10, very easy to make these throws. Nice, easy decision. Excellent catch on the outside.
Nice start for 25-year-old Tyler Sneed. Had 5 touchdowns 2 years ago. Injured last year, didn't have one. Alexander on the run to his right, down the field, up for grabs, incomplete. Heaved it up there for Charleston Rambo, but he could not climb the ladder.
Big play action boot trying to get Rambo. Rambo does actually get behind the defense, but it's too late. Alexander can't see it in time because Lanier is there. Thank God for defense, Lanier is there, or else that throw would have been easy for Rambo, and that would have been a throw much sooner. But good chase by the Argonauts defense.
It's Derek Sluka out of Ithaca.
Division III guy. Love my Division III guys as a Division III football. He's a great story.
2nd and 10 for Alexander. On the run to his right, a little bit of room. A race looking for the first down. Got it, tiptoes the sideline, and picks up a little bit more for good measure. They'll give him 15.
And that's the other thing about Davis Alexander, 166 yards rushing last season. When you have quarterbacks who've got the ability to use their legs and create, there's a pressure situation. Parrish doesn't keep contained. Everyone else is in man coverage. When the quarterback scrambles, you can get a lot of yards. This is one of the keys to Davis's game. He's got the ability to use his legs and get downfield. Nice. It's always good to have a quarterback who's got the ability to use his legs to wreak havoc on your defensive line.
Montreal's offense last year, 9th in the league in yards gained. Now they'll hand it off. This is Tice. That's a hard run. Finds a little bit of space and eventually pushed out of bounds. They could not bring him down. That's his first regular season touch in the Canadian Football League. And that'll be a first down.
Travis Tice was spectacular in training camp, was spectacular in his preseason games, and he just looks like a player who is saying, I am going to be here, and I'm going to stay here on your roster. And one of the things Dusty, I used to talk to the players about is coaches don't declare rosters. Players do. And that player right there, Travis Tice just said, I have to be in your building because of my play. Every time you watch him, he's running people over. He's getting extra yards. He's giving effort plays. So you can see why the Montreal Alouettes kept him and said, we want this player in our long-term plans.
40 career touchdowns at South Dakota. Now part of the Alouettes. 1st and 10 from the 31. Thomas Erlington now steps to the right, then turns it upfield. Pretty good pickup on the ground once again on 1st down.
You can see Montreal here trying to make sure they establish the run, get some talented running backs, try to help Davis, put him in manageable situations. Now you're in a 2nd and 6 here, really manageable down and distance situation in field goal range.
Over 100 yards of offense already in the game for the Alouettes. Just 1 point to show for it. Missed field goal, but Davis Alexander looking for more here. 3 options, wide side left. Looks in that direction. Throws in that direction. End zone, Philpott got it this time. Touchdown, Montreal. Philpott strikes from Alexander. And it's a beauty to get us started on Friday Night Football.
One-on-one matchups on the outside. Tyson Philpott usually plays the widest side of the field. It's a one-on-one matchup. There's a pressure by the Argonauts. Davis sees it, throws it out there. Beautiful throw to Tyson. Nice high hands looking into the catch. Great start of the season for those two guys.
5 touchdowns in just 9 games last year for Philpott. Laid out for one earlier on that last drive, and it was just a little bit too long for him. Not this time. Maltos to make it 8-0. Puts that one through. That is a 7-play, 69-yard drive that took just under 3.5 minutes. Philpott wide open. Alexander drops it in there. Touchdown, Alouettes.
Back in front.
How does Tyson Philpott get so wide open? How does he get run by? Here's an example. You're going to see a pressure from all these players. What happens? Montreal adds in an extra blocker to give them the amount of time they need for the one-on-one on the outside. You watch the one-on-one. Davis knows he's got the protection, throws it up for the nice touchdown to Tyson Philpott. He's a dangerous player on the outside. He's got really good speed, and I think he's a really good route runner, Dustin. So it's really good to get those opportunities to the wide side this season.
Calvin Turner Jr. on the return. And he's tripped up just outside the 30. Montreal leading 8-0. When we return here to Montreal, we will welcome the newest analyst to our Friday Night Football crew, Super Bowl champion Luke Wilson, here with us in Montreal tonight. Welcome back to Friday Night Football. You would know Luke Wilson from his time in the NFL, Super Bowl champion with the Seahawks. You would know him from Overdrive on TSN. You would know him from Jay Onright Show. But do you know he was a 5th-round pick, 32nd overall by the Argos back in 2012. He's standing by with Shinetti.
Yeah, Scott Milanovic told me that this guy, he tried to go ahead and make sure this guy was in the CFL. He had other things going on. Maybe a Super Bowl championship fit in there in that NFL career there, Luke. Welcome to the CFL, my friend.
It was exciting. I do remember draft day in the CFL. You know, at that point, I was still in school, so there was a little, could I go back to Rice? But it's fun hearing me on the sideline and having the Argos in it because the team had drafted me. Kind of a full circle moment.
All roads lead to the CFL, but all roads also lead to the first game of the season. So take us through nerves. Obviously, you take a look at Davis Alexander, his first start, but we've all seen a little hiccups, especially coming from the Argos, a bit from the Alouettes. Take us through what a first game process can be for a player.
Shooter, what happens is you're in training camp and you start to you get bogged down by you're playing the same guys every single day and you understand their tendencies. And it's almost like being a caged animal at times because you just want to get out here and you want the real bullets to fly. So all of a sudden today, you get out here for the Argos are on the road, for Montreal, you're at home. There's a lot of trash talking down there. I was loving it. Listen to guys go back and forth. Again, it's almost like being a rabid dog let out of his cage. It's a loud stadium. I'm getting jacked up just just being here right now.
Just being right there close to the game brings you right back to it. But also, too, when you think about the Argos, they're now the hunted. You understand that winning the Super Bowl in 2013.
Yes.
What did it feel like in 2014, knowing that the entire league was aiming right at your Seahawks?
It's actually a great feeling for the real competitors.
Really?
I got to go back to my former coach, Pete Carroll. He said, you know what? Anyone can be an underdog. It's the easiest thing in the world to be an underdog. The real ballers, the real players, they want the target on their back. Come bring it, baby. We're the champs. We want to see everybody's best, and I think that's a great place to be in if you're a professional athlete.
What did you think of that toss to Tyson Philpott, that throw?
Set. I think right now, Coach Moss is in his bag right now. He's running the pill. They've got a little play action. They're getting in tight. And you know what's happening? The Argos are going into some cover zero looks. And they're saying, you want to do that? Here's Philpott over the top. The Argos are very, very lucky. It's only 8-0 because you missed the other one down here, which, again, just training camp, they probably won't miss very many more of those throws.
Luke Wilson's a CFL guy. I can feel it off him, Justin. He's ready for this season.
I like his energy, and that's coming from me. I mean, this is exciting stuff. Big drive here, actually. As the guys were talking, they got McMahon involved.
Yeah, McMahon
finally,
with
didn't
his
they?
8-yard run and then a nice pass on the outside.
A couple of flags fly here, right?
Procedure penalty. It's going to be.
Yeah. What did Luke say? Jason Moss is in his bag right now. Feeling pretty good about the way. Well, 100 yards of offense for a team that averaged only about 320, 330 last season. And you have to be pretty happy with it. What's harder to get going early in the season, Lab? Was it the offense or the defense?
Well, I never try to say it. Well, I think you have enough practice to get everything going.
Procedure. Procédure illégale. Toronto, number 62. Numéro 62. 5-yard penalty. 5 verges de pénalité. Deuxième.
Ryan Hunter.
You know, you can't allow your players to say, hey, we're going to execute better week 6 than week 1. So you want to come out and execute right away. But the interesting thing for the Argos on this drive, what did they start out with? A couple of tempo plays. So what does that mean? They ran up to the line of scrimmage. They didn't huddle, trying to maybe minimize how much they're doing to try to get their guys playing a little bit better rhythm.
2nd and 13. Final play the quarter. Down the field. Arbuckle with his biggest completion of the game. First catch of the game for Dejan Brissett. And Toronto finally getting something going offensively here on the first Friday night football broadcast of the season. Heavyweight tilt between these two clubs, and it's the Alouettes. Strike first. They lead 8-0 through 15 minutes. Welcome back to Friday Night Football. Montreal Alouettes leading the Argos 8-0 and really controlling the football for a good chunk of that opening quarter, I thought.
Yeah, 17 plays they've run offensively. The big thing, they're 6 of 8 on second down, Dustin, setting down conversion. So they're staying on the field. And this is what this football team does. They do a lot of things where short plays, short completions, and they're going to get the run game going, but then they're going to take a shot when they get one of those extra first downs. They get some opportunities. They missed the one to Tyson, but then they hit him into the blitz, and we're able to capitalize, protect, and then throw the deep.
What about Montreal's defense on the other side of this? They haven't allowed anything yet in this game.
Yeah, you know, and I think the Argos kind of hurt themselves with a couple of penalties early on themselves to put them in long yardage situations, and that's just going to play into the defense. The defense is going to drop everybody out, but it's fun to watch up here. You see this defense from Montreal players playing at all different spots. Dequoy is down low. Beverette's high. You get all different types of spots for this defensive unit, and that's what they like to do. They like to play guys in all different spots.
Back to McMahon, his 3rd carry of the ball game.
And Nick Arbuckle, you know, right before break, threw a nice pass down the middle of the field to Dejan Brissett, converting that 2nd and long.
Arbuckle has started the game 5 for 6, 49 yards. Pressure right up the middle, trying to escape. He will not. Darnell Sankey, first of the year, had just one all of last year. He's got one here tonight.
Sankey coming up on the inside. See him right here. We'll see what happens from a protection standpoint. Okay, a little twist, and this is what's hard for offensive linemen is when you call these twists, where one guy goes in one direction and the linebacker's waiting, and he just spins around the defensive lineman. to be able to get to there. You want those linebackers who got great speed, be able to spin. Great play by Sankey. Good scheme by the Alouettes defense.
12-yard loss pushes them out of field goal range. Haggerty forced to punt it, and he drops it in there near side. A little bit of room to cook here for Letcher. Tries to cut it back in and eventually taken down just outside the 35-yard line. When we talk about a heavyweight tilt between these two clubs tonight, and they have basically, the last couple of years, owned the East. Dinwiddie, obviously, a great record, 16-2 a couple years ago, and it's Jason Moss who gets it done. And then the reverse last year, 12 wins in the season for Montreal, and it's the Argos. You gotta love this rivalry, don't you?
Yeah, they've done a really good job. But, you know, both coaches done a really good job establishing the culture they want, and certainly they've been blessed. I really like the move, you know, like certainly getting Cody Fajardo in the building, somebody Jason Moss had familiarity with, and basically the Argos saying, hey, Chad Kelly's going to be our quarterback, and they made those decisions, and those decisions paid off well for them.
Thomas Erlington, another touch. Derek Parrish was probably first on him, making the tackle. You said the veteran of this group right now.
Veteran of this group. He had 6 sacks last year. He's a talented football player, and I expect him to have to take a greater role. And Kevin Iban's defensive coordinator for the Argonauts, as they continue to go. And Kevin, I was always impressed with Kevin as a football player. Worked with him at the Argos, and he's done a spectacular job with a bunch of new pieces. Second year in a row.
Alexander pressured right up the middle. They go and get him. And that's Andrew Chatfield. Came over in a trade with Ottawa. Another one of these new pieces on this defensive line.
Yeah, and Chatfield, Chatfield came over, was a trade. Greg Marshall is the defensive line coach for the Toronto Argonauts, came from Ottawa. And, hey, when they started losing some guys, he said, hey, there's a guy over here, Chatfield. I don't know if he can, I don't know if he's going to start in Ottawa. Maybe we should think about getting this guy. And so there was familiarity since Coach Marshall had him last year in Ottawa. That's how he comes over, makes a play there to get a sack. Now, the Argos led the CFL in sacks last year. Will they be able to do it again?
Chatfield started at Florida, finished at Oregon State. Gets the sack there. And nowhere to go on this return for Calvin.
And that's why Coach Marshall likes him too, because Coach Marshall went to Oregon State.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
All those connections on a beautiful, beautiful night here in Montreal. The Alouettes on top. 8-0. Yeah, I like that. Josh Holloway, he's good. I got to watch that one.
Sawyer from Lost.
Yeah, great show. Great. He was awesome in that show, wasn't he?
Yep.
Here's Arbuckle. Hands it off. Our first look at Mayan Williams out of Ohio State. Was there from 2020 to 2023, and he's stuffed quickly on the play.
Byron Bonds gets a tackle. This player played at a bunch of different spots. Texas, Utah State, finished up at Baylor. I know they liked him a lot. Another young piece to this defensive unit. Another second and long for the Argos, Dusty. This is their second and extra. This is the third time they've been in this situation.
Arbuckle, late flag, far side, has the first down, but is this one coming back?
Might be Montreal offsides over to this. There is a big pressure over on the left-hand side. Whether some of the Montreal guys were offsides, we'll see.
Looks like it's against
Toronto.
Being told is Tavares Daniels again.
Hors-jeu, offside, Toronto number 80. Toronto numéro 80, 5 verges de pénalité. On reprend le deuxième. Second down.
Toronto might be using a little bit of a hard cadence, longer cadence. And what happens when you're on that longer cadence, sometimes the receivers aren't timed up exactly with that longer cadence. You can see the Owls getting close to jumping off sides. Daniels ends up being a little bit before the snap, puts them in second and extra. This is what the Argos can't. They've been doing this all game, being in second and extra.
They got to find 16 yards. Arbuckle gets it away, far side. Coxie, can he get there? He does. Tracked down from behind, hangs on to the ball, was tackled by Canton Arcou, but a big play from Arbuckle to find his alpha receiver.
You're going to see this. They're going to come in together and go like this, and like this. If everybody lifts, you throw underneath. And that's what happens as everybody lifts and goes high. You outflank the defense and throw it out there. Coxie's got great speed, great location by Nick Arbuckle.
Back on the ground quickly.
So here is some tempo. I think they think, hey, if we just kind of get in rhythm going with some tempo, Dusty, we can avoid these penalties. We just try to get some different type of rhythm going for this offensive unit. As you see Ryan looking to the call sheet, which one's going to work.
Just a couple of yards right up the middle to Ryan Williams. So it'll be a 2nd and 8. Arbuckle to the right, down the field. There's a flag thrown. You saw it as Coxie tried to sneak in behind the defense, working on Lorenzo Burns.
Sur un receveur, illegal contact on receiver. Montreal, number 20, numéro 20, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Up here, you're going to see this penalty. So you see a blitz look by the Montreal Alouettes, and then they bail out of it. And as there's a double move up to the outside as the quarterback starts to scramble, Burns impedes, creates the opportunity. So you got a good chess match right now. You're seeing blitz pictures, seeing the Argonauts do multiple cadences to try to see what Montreal is showing to them. But a pretty good drive started here.
Arbuckle, far side again, and that one intercepted by Burns. Steps inside Coxie and takes it away. A little redemption for Lorenzo Burns. After taking the penalty, that's his first Canadian Football League interception. Arbuckle lays it out there. Burns says, thank you very much. Montreal defense with the takeaway. Montreal defense coming up big here on Friday Night Football. 5 games played last year for Lorenzo Burns. And a good read on this one. He steps inside of Coxie and takes it away. Let's send it down to Shinetti for more on the defense.
Yeah, the one thing last year, even though the Owls were so good at limiting big plays and their red zone defense, Noel Thorpe made sure that the team in training camp this year watched all 12 picks that the team dropped and a couple of picks that they dropped over the course of the East Final. And the one thing Noel Thorpe said, and Darnell Sankey admitted this pregame, is he said to his guys, look, we can attack physically, I know that. But you got to attack the ball, and this is Noel Thorpe's words, guys, not mine. When you get your hands on the ball, you got to squeeze it, Dustin.
He squeezed it well for his first career interception. 18-yard pickup here to Philpott as Montreal will look to respond quickly. That's dropped in nicely over the defender's head. Alexander, 3 yards away from 100. He's 7 of 9 with a touchdown in the first half. Travis Tice in at running back, picks up some pressure in the form of Paris. Dumping it over the top, Dallaire, midfield. And that'll be a first down for the Alouettes.
This is the creativity that I believe Alexander is going to. This is a play-action pass. They've done 2 straight play-action passes. The pressure gets inside, forces him to move, finds Tice underneath, makes an off-schedule throw. This is what a lot of people in Montreal love about Davis Alexander. Not only his ability to process, see pictures, but also to create with his legs.
That'll put him up to 108 yards in the opening half. And he's got his team marching once again. Up to midfield. Lots of moving parts here. They'll tuck it into the belly of Philpott. Can he find some space? Back to the line of scrimmage. And no further. Tracked down nicely. There's a flag in the secondary here, though. It was Tavares McFadden who eventually forced him out.
See what this flag is. One of the things Philpott was so good at watching him in the draft, his ability to use his to run with a football. So you can see teams trying to give him opportunities, get a speed sweep occasionally. See the
bloc illégal dans l'angle mort, blindside block, Montréal numéro 14, Montreal number 14, 15-yard penalty. 2nd down, 2e.
see if we can find this.
Charleston Rambo
on the penalty. Yep, so he cannot deliver a blow with force, and he delivers a big blow up at the top of the screen. You know, you've got to make sure, like I always use the term to players, like, hey, if you're going to go ahead and block somebody and face him up here, you got to crack him kindly. You can't hit him with any type of force. That's too much of a force. That's going to be called every time. So that puts them in a big hole here.
2nd and 26. What can they dial up this time? Alexander under pressure, escapes on the run to his right, still can't find anything. Opens it up himself, trying to turn it upfield, eventually tracked down from behind. A roar from the crowd, but it will be 3rd down. But there he is again, showing what he can do with his feet.
Well, it was 2nd and 26. We were thinking there possibly could have been a dribble kick, right? But
yeah, that's right.
Kind of don't have the player to do dribble kicks anymore. He's traded away, gone to other places. So, yeah, the one thing Davis did say is the coaches have talked to him a little bit about, like, hey, listen, they want me to be aggressive. They want me to go downfield, but I also protect myself, make sure I don't take any hits I don't need to.
Zemo set to kick it away. Unger and Turner will wait for it on their own 10.
We've got a time
Montreal number 36, 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down. 5 left.
Joffrey Canton-Arcou comes running out late, so another time count penalty because they don't have enough players on the field, so they take the penalty, get enough players on the football field. So Byron Archambault, special teams coordinator, is not going to be happy with some of these guys.
Zemo from his 35 hangs it up there. Turner takes it inside his 10. A stumble, though. Those are big shoes to fill with Janarian Grant, the guy you're replacing after a 56-yard kick here at Percival Molson Stadium. Excellent crowd on a Friday night. One, of course, in the Canadian Football League continues tomorrow as well. Excellent game last night. And a big battle here between Toronto and Montreal. Two teams that have sights set on being contenders in the East once again. Arbuckle gets it away. Unger, far side, tackled immediately. Ento was not going to let him get away. Pick up a 5.
Play action looking deep. You don't have anybody downfield, so you take the underneath throw. You see it right. You'll have a clear out and a guy out in the flat. You take the flat throw when everybody lifts to take the underneath. This is a good read by Nick Arbuckle. And when it's to the wide side of the field, you're going to stay on schedule and put yourself second and medium.
Arbuckle 7-9 for 75 and an interception. He's got 3 receivers out to his wide side left here. Looks to his right. Wants to throw to his right. He will. Down the field. Lays it out there. And it's hauled in. Coxie goes and gets it. Best catch we've seen so far tonight.
Tempo. So you're going to see them lining up real quick to go. They're going to do a tempo play right here as we see Coxie up the top of the screen. This is what teams love about him. It's a double move. If it's short, he can go up and take it at the highest point. There might be a question whether this was a catch. That's why the Argos are going fast. They got a coded word to say run a play immediately so it can't be challenged.
And they get it away. Arbuckle with a completion. We're going to get another look at this Coxie catch. And 72 yards he's got so far.
Ryan Dimwitty talked about this week. He's like, you know, we love a go up and get it guy. This is our go up and get it guy. We can get a one-on-one matchup and throw it up to him. Big-bodied guy, spectacular catch. Comes down with it. Now, that's why the Argos just maybe had some concern whether this was a catch. That's why they ran up and quickly ran a play that's going to be built into everybody's offense.
They need 6 more to keep this drive alive. Pressure coming. Arbuckle gets it away, and it's hauled in. This time over the middle to the veteran, Davaris Daniels.
Nick Arbuckle started to see things There's a pressure. You can see all these guys standing in line of scrimmage. It's a blitz. Duquois is free. He understands it, but he throws the post in the middle of the field. As the zone blitz shows up, there's nobody underneath. They're dropping from the line of scrimmage. That's hard for them to handle. Great throw into the blitz while you have a rusher coming free.
20-yard pickup to Daniels, looking for Ungerer, and that one this time falls incomplete, and it'll be 2nd and 10 from the Montreal 38 for the Argos.
You know, and last time they were down here, Dusty, you said they took a loss to take themselves out of field goal. That they were taken out of field goal range. So now you're sitting here, and now you're at about a 46-yard field goal. So you're like, okay, let's make sure we do something that either helps us get a little bit shorter field goal or at least doesn't lose any yardage.
Mayan Williams in it, running back to the left of Arbuckle. Alouettes bring some heat. Arbuckle gets it away, drops in no man's land, and that'll bring up 3rd down as we hit just under 3 minutes here on Friday Night Football. Toronto looking to put points on the board on the road in Montreal.
Halftime coming up with Davis Sanchez and Enoch Mwamba. I hope you took Davis Sanchez's advice, by the way. Philpott already with the TD. And you know what? We have all this access right now to the stadium, and sometimes you just walk and you find the most magnificent things. I was going to the washroom, and all of a sudden it's a giant photo of Enoch Mwamba. Chezzy, I'm still looking for yours. I know it's down here somewhere. Dusty, it's down here, I promise.
That's a long time ago now.
Kate, did you say it was in the washroom?
Yes, it was.
Oh, my goodness.
Arilahu puts that one up, and that is true. Toronto is on the board, but send it back down to Luke Wilson.
Yeah, you know, I've been real excited right now to see how the Alouettes offense is rolling. To me, I think it's the perfect game plan. As a coach, Coach Moss and Anthony Calvillo clearly came out here and they wanted to try and establish this run game against the Argos' new D line. And they got that going. And it's tough runs. They're breaking tackles. They're coming downhill. And I'm telling you, if you can't stop the run, you can't stop anything. Then you come out, little play action, slide route. Again, it's masterful calls here. And then what happens? You miss this shot to Philpott. It's cover 0. You're leaving this guy on an island. And I was shocked that they're going to try this again on the next drive. And I will say Davis Alexander, when it wasn't exactly what you needed, made plays with his legs. And again, you should have hit Philpott on the first cover 0 rep, and you come back on the next drive. The Argos gamble again, and the Alouettes make him pay.
Not a guy that you want to let get in behind your defense in Philpott. Usually he doesn't need that type of advantage. He's got 3 catches for 43 yards in that touchdown.
Good stop there by the Argonauts defense. Cameron Judge showing up, making a nice tackle in the hole to minimize the gain to 0 in that 1st and 10 play.
Montreal with the ball again, leading by 5. Just over 2 to play in the 2nd quarter. Alexander out to his right on the run. Might have enough room to get it. I think he did. Very close. Looks like a 1st down here for the Alouettes.
And something Davis said in the game, in the pregame show, he talked about the Argos may need to pressure more, and when you pressure, you play man coverage. Another snap of man coverage. Nobody's got the quarterback. Davis saying scramble for the 1st down. So once again, the ability to use his legs is something that's going to be hard when you try to pressure him and play man coverage.
This is not good. It was McManus who was in pursuit of Alexander. You saw in that last replay, and now he is going to get looked at by the training staff. Looks like he'll walk it off to the sideline at least.
Spectacular player. CFL All-Star 2 of the last 3 years. I mean, last year in the Grey Cup, Dusty, I just remember that guy knocking footballs down all game. 1 interception for a touchdown. Sometimes when you have to chase and you really have to open it up and run full speed, that's when you can pull muscle. Sometimes that'll happen. At least for me and you, Dusty.
It can certainly happen from time to time. Argangelo will come into the game for McManus.
I mean, he's a talented football player. He played in he had 5 starts last year, 35 defensive tackles, 1 sack. I enjoyed watching him on film last year. I thought that was a good find. Second-year player from Illinois.
25-year-old. Now in the middle of this defense, Alexander quickly gets it out. And that's into the hands of Austin Mack. 5-yard pickup, his second catch of the game. Man, Alexander's in a good spot with these weapons that he's got. Hey, Philpott's healthy. Mack is back. Rambo was a beast when those guys weren't around. We talked about Snead.
And I like how they call a game. Like Jason Moss loves screen passes, and that's a quick screen. Throw it outside to Austin Mack. Locate the football. Let an athlete get 5 to 6 yards. Put yourself in second and medium. So Montreal runs a lot of these wide receiver screen plays.
Midfield, they need 5 to keep this drive moving. Alexander wrapped up from behind, and he is taken down. That's Parrish. Having a nice start to his season. Had 6 sacks last year.
Good pressure by Parrish. As Davis tries to find an escape route. Sometimes you're just trying to say, hey, defensive lineman, make sure that guy cannot escape outside of you, and then you can move back inside. So nice play by the Argos defensive line. As we said off the top, we know there's so many different people in the building now rushing the passer, but this team did have the most sacks in the CFL one season ago.
Zima stands on his own 40. Under the lights here in Montreal, hammers it away. Turner waits, lets it bounce at the 5. Now has to pick it up at the 1. Pushes it back out beyond the 10 and no further. It's the battle we didn't know we needed, but we're very excited for.
Yes.
That's going to be a good one with those two guys going head to head. Arbuckle will get the ball back here. A little bit of time still.
It's a long field, so you got 1:03 left. So you certainly got the ability to drive the length of the field, but they also have to think situationally, hey, if we don't get a first down, we might have to punt out, backed up, and give the Montreal. You just don't want to give Montreal an opportunity to go on offense again.
4 options out to his left. Looks in that direction. Dumps it off. Caught at the 15. Brissett, second catch of the game. And Beverett there after a 5-yard pickup. So are you being cautious or aggressive in this situation?
Well, you got positive yardage. If you got 0 yardage, you might start thinking, hey, we better be careful here. We don't want to put our defense on, and we don't want to punt from backed up. So here, they should have everything. They got plenty of time to go get this first down and see what they can do. Maybe go tempo after this.
Williams in it, running back to the right of Arbuckle. They work from their own 17. Arbuckle thought about a deep shot, didn't he? Now he has to get it away. He's hammered. Ball pops loose. They haven't blown it down. It's going to be picked up and taken back to the end zone. Is this a touchdown? And Emmy Berglund takes it home. Arbuckle saying he was throwing it forward, and we're going to have to sort this out late in the first half.
Demi Berglund was CFL East All-Star, 7 sacks. This is a great football player. But as the ball starts to be thrown up in the air, they'll take a look at that and they'll see that it looks like it's bounced, right, Dusty? Did you see it bounce?
Yeah, well, you'll see it here. He comes out, and then it does look like he throws it ahead right there.
Yeah, that's going to be a throw, and there's
that's
the
an
bounce.
incomplete pass.
So it's going to turn into an incomplete pass. So as an incomplete pass, now that's what I'm talking about. There's 27 seconds left. So now you do have to punt backed up. You put yourself in a position.
Previous play is under review by the command center. Le précédent jeu est en reprise vidéo par le centre des commandes.
It did look like it sort of slipped out of his hands as he was trying to push it ahead, but
so command center is going to now be looking. The command center is now going to take a look at this to determine whether it's a forward pass or a fumble. That's what they're trying to decide, and they're going to use their discretion to see whether it's a forward pass or a fumble.
You'll see his hand right. Let's see if we can see it here. It sort of slips out of his fingers right there. Yeah. It looked like it was out of his arm before his arm moved just slightly forward. So
this will be interesting to see. Is it slipping out right here before he's thrown the football? That's the determination command center is going to try to make.
All right, will this stand? fumble and a touchdown. Let's find out. Here's the ruling.
Upon review by the command center, the ruling on the field of a fumble is confirmed. We have a touchdown. Après reprise vidéo, la décision prise sur le terrain est confirmée. Touché Montréal.
Emmy Berglund is fired up, and a crowd here to their feet. Unforced error from Arbuckle, and the Alouettes take advantage.
So obviously command center ruled on this play here. You can see that they felt that the ball was out before he made the throwing motion. So ruled fumble. Debbie Berglund there chasing the football. And remember, this Montreal defense 2 years ago broke a team record for defensive scores. And that's something they take pride in and continue to do. Pressure on the quarterback causes the fumble. Demi Berglund there to pick it up, scoop and score for the defensive score.
I think that last look we had at it was probably the best one. You saw that ball pop up before the arm came forward. And boy, we were talking about, do you be cautious? Are you aggressive in this situation? That's the last thing you want to have happen. Montreal at home on a Friday night in the driver's seat now. Touchdowns from Philpott and Isaac at Emmy Berglund. We saw the contact coming in.
Uguak trying to get a piece of it too. Demi Berglund right there. And you know, he was a great free agent signing last year for this football team, for Dana Machocha and company, coming over from Calgary, the most outstanding Canadian in the East. You know, he had 9 tackles for losses, the best in the CFL, led the CFL in tackles for losses. And I love they move him in different spots. And I think what Noel Thorpe's done with him, you know, he really brought out the best in this football player, giving him different roles and moving him around, and been spectacular addition to this defensive unit. Get the most out of that player.
Living up to the hype of a 3rd overall pick.
And he's got a lot of face paint.
It does.
A lot of face paint.
How long does that take?
I don't know. You know, it's a lot of work right there. We should do that one game on Montreal. Me and you, we put the face paint on.
You're going to be committed, right? You're either in or you're not in.
Oh, you know, it used to be just the little stickers with the blackout stickers. It's a lot of work right there.
I got some kids I coach. They're 10 years old. They play hockey. They put on a little bit of eye paint. Man. I don't want to tell them they look ridiculous.
I have a lot of makeup on tonight, but
Montreal will hammer it away again. Maltos down to the 10. Brought back by Calvin Turner Jr. 29 stopped in his tracks by Vaughns, among others. And Arbuckle will trot back out. Interception, and then that costly fumble in the first half for Arbuckle. 11 of 15 otherwise.
And that's kind of the thing for Nick to become the, you know, a full-time starter somewhere. Those are the, you know, he's had some fumbles in his career. He's had some interceptions in his career. Those are the things that he needs to kind of clean up in his game to become a consistent starter in the CFL.
26th start of his career tonight. 10 and 15 in the first 25, spread across Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, and of course Toronto. Down by a dozen with 25 seconds on the clock. Arbuckle heaves one down the field, and that's going to fall incomplete. Coxie could never really pick that up, I think.
And all the way down to the bottom. Okay, you're seeing still pressure looks, and then they're bailing out the snap, but here's the one-on-one matchup. They're saying, hey, we're going to throw it to our best player on the outside, see if we can make a big play to flip the field so we can get in field goal range. Should be a safe throw on the outside, but good coverage on the outside. But I'll tell you what, this defense in Montreal, Beverett was playing free safety before the ball snapped, then all the way he's in the line of scrimmage when the ball snapped. So they're moving pieces around every play.
Coxie's been targeted 7 times already by Arbuckle. This time on the ground as the clock ticks down. They'll take it just outside their own 30 with Mayan Williams.
So they're now going, okay, we're going to just run the ball. We took our shot on first down, didn't work. Now let's just get out of the half. Don't stop the clock. Don't make us punt. Back to Montreal.
Alouettes will have to be happy with this opening half. Davis Alexander, 10 of 12, 113 yards and a touchdown. He also has 38 yards on the ground. Fantasy sleeper pick for many of you this week or this year. So Toronto goes into the room thinking what here?
I think they're going to be a little bit worried about the penalties they took to get them in long yardage situations. But, I mean, it's 15-3. There's a lot of football left. Just get in rhythm. They gave up an explosive play for a touchdown. Just go back and play. Plenty of time left to play football. They just got to clean up their penalties.
They could use a big second half from Coxie. Montreal will get the ball to start the half. Letcher had to backpedal and grab it just inside the 5. Turns it back, breaks one tackle, gets a big block at the 40. Now he'll take it to the 50 and cut it back. Letcher still going and eventually tracked down from behind. They get there, but Letcher, a big one. Teodric Hansen with a touchdown-saving tackle. But fireworks from Letcher on Friday Night Football.
Great job going to the wide side. Sometimes these wide side returns are so hard because of the width of the field. Finds a little crease, cuts it back. Teodric Hansen, you see him coming into the screen, running with speed to make this tackle. A great execution by the special teams of Montreal. Kicking off, creating great field position to start the second half for the Owls. The Byron Archambault fired up.
Loving that one. How can you not? They're going to start here on the Toronto 40 with a 12-point lead. Third quarter officially underway. Low snap. I'll hand it off. And that back to the line of scrimmage no further. Here's a look at Davis Alexander in the first half.
10 of 12 passing, very good, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. And, there's some underneath throws. They took a couple opportunities and a couple of shot plays, but I like what they did offensively. Sean Thomas-Ellington's got 38 yards rushing. Alexander himself has 38 yards rushing. There you see the shot play. They protected him versus blitz, and he had the opportunity to make the throw. He made the throw. So a good first half. He's got a great defense around him. Doesn't have to do too much.
2nd and 10 here. 4 on the pressure for Toronto, and Alexander takes off again, and he uses his feet to pick up a Montreal first down. 12 yards. That'll give him 50 on the game.
Once again, he's got the ability when he sees everybody running out of there in man coverage. I don't like the picture. The protection's not great. I'm just going to scramble, get the first down. Right now, like I said, he doesn't have to make too many bad throws to make bad decisions. I'm just going to scramble and get what I can.
Didn't hesitate either, right? Nope. He knew it. Boom, there's space. Let's go. Got his team a first down, and they're working from the Toronto 28. This time he wants to throw, and he will. Heads up. Big hit coming. And hanging on to the ball on the far side of the field after the hit from McFadden. Austin Mack's second catch of the ball game.
Yeah. And then when you see basically McFadden's looking inside, and as the quarterback pulls it on the perimeter.
Oh, it's Speaker.
Okay, sees the throw on the outside. He's going to be the low player in that zone, so he's just going to be rallying up. The throws to the wide side of the field, he can rally up. Just make sure he wraps up and makes a tackle to the wide side. Nice tackle from McFadden there on the wide side of the field.
First catch of the game for Speaker. Had 58 of them last year. Alexander gets this one away. There's Mack, and he'll take it down inside the 15 as the Alouettes march on another first down for the home side.
Really nice rhythm throw to the outside to Austin Mack, his big target. Those throws to the wide side of the field. Nobody underneath you, so it's easy to make a nice timing throw. Again, he's just staying on schedule. When you're 2nd and 6, you can throw those 6-yard throws, fall forward for a first down.
First trip to the red zone by either team.
I noticed that.
In tonight's game. Alexander, end zone, lays it out there, broken up. Tried to find Philpott again, and McManus with the denial.
You don't see that happen often. But Wynton McManus made a spectacular play. The Alouettes are trying to create a corner route, and then Wynton McManus ends up covering Tyson Philpott. That doesn't happen often, but watch him. go right through the hands. That's what you teach your defensive players. When the hands show up for Philpott, the ball's coming. Put your hands through his hands. Spectacular play. Great recovery in a difficult situation for a linebacker trying to cover a wide receiver.
Looked like McMahon is pointing for somebody else. Go, and then he just like, I'll do it. I'll do it myself. Alexander finds Rambo trying to push to the end zone, and he will be stopped, but he's got a first down for Montreal.
Pressure off the edge. You cannot lose contain. When you lose contain, I think that was Mark Milton off the edge. When you blitz and pressure, you can't lose contain. Davis is going to make you pay. Finds Rambo back inside. Puts the ball at about the 1 yard line. So the big people will come in and they'll do their short yardage package to work. A little bit of trash talk here.
Chatfield, after lowering the boom on Rambo, talking some trash to the quarterback. Caleb Evans into the game, looking to finish this job for Montreal. Pushing ahead. Touchdown, Alouettes. Evans finishes what Davis Alexander started. And Montreal in full control at home, 21-3 the lead.
Really good. At the end of the second quarter, defense gets a score, correct? Defense gets the score. Come out in the third quarter. You've got the ball offensively. You drive the length of the field. Score a touchdown. That's a way you always talk about the end of the half and the start of the third quarter. We want to go out. We want to get touchdowns on both ends of those. One came from defense. One comes from offense. A nice 14-point swing for the Owls.
Altos to add one more. That is up and through. It was a 7-play, 40-yard drive after the great return from Letcher to start the half. Caleb Evans, 4 touchdowns last year. He's got his first one this year tonight. And you love getting up early to watch golf. RBC Canadian Open will be waiting for you. Davis Alexander, got to be happy with what the fans are seeing here tonight. If you're an Alouettes fan, with what Davis Alexander has managed to put together so far. Through the air, and he leads his team in rushing yards. This is bobbled by Turner. Picks it up and will not find any space. He stopped shy of the 30.
First half for Nick, 11 of 16, 139 yards. Made some good throws. Also in a position where he's got that throw to the wide side of the field that was intercepted. But they just really haven't found the rhythm they need. I think they need to run the football a little bit better. I think they're only averaging 2.7 yards per carry. And that'll help free up and get some of the play actions going. But, hey, the Montreal defense does what they do. They don't give up explosives. They keep you out of the end zone.
McMahon just 3 touches. Ryan Williams 3 touches as well out of the backfield. Arbuckle wants to throw here. Now he's going to dump it off, setting up that screen for the running back. And McMahon gets about 6 or 7 on that first down catch.
Love a nice screenplay to start a drive. It's going to come out. You're going to have linemen out. You're going to have 2 linemen. We're going to create. One's going to be a kick-out player, and one's going to be an alley player. And you're going to have the running back go up inside. See Sage Dockstader trying to be a big body in space.
2nd and 4. Arbuckle takes off. There's a flag as he slides for the first down. But a flag in the area of possibly holding. But Alouettes are going to say this is coming back.
Holding here.
Holding. Toronto, 62-62, diverses de pénalité, 10-yard penalty.
So right tackle,
Second down.
Ryan Hunter, right tackle, you'll see right here. Here's who they called for the holding. So on on the twist. Usually at the end, it's hard to tell, maybe his hands were inside. Brought the defensive lineman down when he had to redirect on the twist.
Another second and long for the Toronto offense. Predicament they face too many times tonight. Arbuckle not going to escape this time. He is taken down. Adeyemi Berglund, who had a touchdown in the first half, finds a sack here in the second.
You have a bunch of people coming off the edge. A lot of pressure. Bringing 5 rushers. They just run by with speed on Ryan Hunter. Doesn't give Nick anywhere to go. So great speed rush on the outside. Playing zone and just letting those big boys go run. To say, hey, listen, we're second and extra. We're going to let you guys go. We'll play zone behind you. Go get the quarterback.
I think he stopped himself from using bad language when he looked down at the camera. Just very mature.
It's always the same story.
And this is, you said it, like the Argonauts been in a lot of second and extras this game.
Yeah.
They can't get out of their own way with the penalties, and that's what just too hard to overcome against a good defense, any defense.
Haggerty from inside his own 10. So hang up there and come down at the 46. Fletcher. This time, nowhere to go as he's wrapped up by Tyson Hergott. 48-yard kick. Not much on the return. Have yourself a game, Isaac. Adeyemi Berglund. Touchdown and a sack. He's been a nightmare for Arbuckle. Welcome back to Montreal, where both of these teams made the decisions after camp to cut their veteran running backs who both had good seasons last year. Kadeem Carey, 1,000 yards, 3rd in the league in rushing, and Walter Fletcher over 1,400 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah, and, you know, that's part of the salary cap. I heard, like, running backs are a position that usually teams say we have to be able to find running backs that can perform at a high level. You can't keep everybody in the salary cap world, and when you keep the Wynton McManuses and when you sign some of the great players you have, you just sometimes have to play younger players in certain spots, and running back is one of the ones that always happens. And like I said earlier, Travis Tice has shown up and said, I should be somewhere on your roster, and that makes it easier for, you know, Montreal to be able to move on from Walter Fletcher. And certainly I know the Argonauts really like Mayan Williams from Ohio State.
Nice catch, good look at it there from Austin Mack. Second and short, and they will push it ahead. And that is the guy we were just talking about, Travis Tice. I was talking to you at halftime. I said I watched some highlights from his senior season, and it was a lot of runs like that. This guy breaks a ton of contact.
Yeah, when you're running zone plays, the key is patience. You don't want to run up to the hole too fast, and you see him slowly letting the line develop, and then he cuts behind the push of the line and finds the first down. And you know, the Argonauts don't have a lot of rushing yards. Well, the Argonauts not really in a position to run the football. Montreal keeps putting themselves in positions to run the football with short yardage scenarios.
10-yard pickup. Tice has 21 on 2. Back on the ground again. Sean Thomas Erlington this time taking the handoff from Alexander. Short pickup on first down that time. Montreal, though, early in this game established the run. We heard Luke talk about it a little bit earlier. Thought it really opened up a lot of other things for the offense. And now, with the lead of 22-3, staying on the ground here a little bit more.
Gives you, just gives you many options to be able to keep plug and play in different, get first downs, get shot opportunities.
Alexander throwing here, looking for Philpott way down the field, and that is intercepted. No, they're gonna. Now we're gonna have to take a look at this because Sluka came over. It bounced off of Tamaris McFadden, and Sluka was waiting for it. Here's another look at this. Let's see if he was in.
Derek Sluka from Ithaca, New York, has range. Look at, for a big guy, talking to John Murphy, personnel guy with the Argos, he said this kid, he's got...
The pass was intercepted.
So they're now talking about it.
Previous play is under review. Le jeu précédent est en reprise vidéo.
Command Center is going to take a look at this one. We will have the ruling for you when we return to Montreal. Well, the Command Center has had a few more looks at this possible interception from Derek Sluka. We will give you another look at it. Ava McFadden to Sluka. Here's the ruling.
Upon review, the ruling on the field stands as it passes, was intercepted in goal. Will be Toronto's ball at 30-yard line. Après révision, la décision est maintenue. Premier essai, Toronto à la ligne de 30.
What a great play by Derek Sluka. Now listen to how this guy's path to the Canadian Football League. He was a free safety in college, Division III, small college Ithaca. The NFL teams say, try out for wideout. We think you can maybe be a wide receiver. So he goes to the Argonauts as a wide receiver. Halfway through camp, they move him to defensive back. And he shows speed and range, and at 6'3", he can make plays like that on the ball.
Yeah, big body back there, and the Argos get some much-needed life with the interception by Sluka.
And you just don't see that often. A guy switches in camp and is able to have the athleticism to go
rare,
compete and play. So, I mean, you got Derek Sluka, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, two really good big free safeties in this game. And that's what you need, your free safety. He's got to be able to recognize the ball's in the air and run across the field and make a play on the ball. Ball is tipped up in the air. Makes spectacular play. And I guess you can put this guy in at wideout, like, if you need to.
If you need to.
He probably already knows the playbook. Throw him in.
That's funny. Through camp, if he goes, it's not really working at wideout, I can be your safety. And then, okay, let's take a peek at you.
As a guy who's been a head coach, usually when you do that move, that guy's getting cut.
Yeah.
Not making the club.
He's not going to be a starter for you on opening night. Sirocco is down here. And he is up, which is a good sign. But there's definitely a bit of a hitch in his giddy up there.
So we have a center leaving from Calgary for a couple plays off. And he's replaced by a center from Calgary, Peter Nicastro, fifth-year player. Both guys from Calgary, University of Calgary College. Darius in his seventh year. Very intelligent football player. I enjoyed working with him in Ottawa. Understood the calls, could communicate. Biggest thing for a center is got to be able to communicate all the calls. Tell us, hey, this is how we're protecting on this football play. Both these guys have done that very well in their careers.
Second and a couple for Arbuckle. Ryan Williams stands into his left. Montreal started to show a bit of pressure. Deverett, now they'll back it off. They'll give it to Williams. Push back, in trouble. Flag on the play, and he's hauled down, pushed back inside the 30. Wynn's helmet is popped off for that Montreal defense. And there's a couple of flags on the play as this ball was moved out to the right.
So when the ball goes sidelines, that's when you get in trouble. Looks like Byron Vaughn's here can work to the sideline and prevent that play. You know, when you're 2nd and 2, the ball spills wide, you can be in a tough position to not get that yardage. And you can see the chess match. Toronto's worried about blitz, so they're doing what's called a double cadence, Dustin, where you pretend to snap the ball so you can look what's happening defensively. So between Noel Thorpe, Brian Dimwit trying to figure out what's going on. We'll see what this flag is too.
Moss, a discussion.
They're giving him options right now on what this flag is and what to do. But a great job by the defense.
Okay, so we think there may be a penalty on both sides here that they're trying to sort out. All well, a very successful wave is taking place here with the crowd at Percival Molson Stadium. There it is. Look at that.
Yeah, great night.
Packed house here for the Friday Night Football opener. One of those people might be wearing a Sanchez jersey. Maybe.
But there's pictures of Enoch in the bathroom, so we got that going.
What a night for the panel, eh? What a huge night for the panel.
Long conversation.
So there's a hold one way against Toronto, and then a misconduct, we believe, on win for Montreal. Here we go. Let's sort this out.
There were 2 fouls on the previous play. Holding Toronto number 58. Objectionable conduct, misconduct, Montreal number 98. We're going to replay second down at the same line.
So Dylan Wynn stood over when they made the tackle. Dylan Wynn stands over. You can celebrate all you want, but the league does not want you standing over somebody and celebrating. They want to call that a taunting. They do not want you standing up over somebody, looking down at them, taking too long in front of them. They want you to celebrate, just not over the top of somebody.
Arbuckle forced up in the pocket, looking for the first down, and he may have it. And now a late flag right at the end of that as Arbuckle pushed ahead.
Second and short. You know you're going to get some type of man coverage trying to flip the field. Arbuckle doesn't like the pictures, just scramble forward.
Rudess, unnecessary roughness. Montréal, number 2, numéro 2, 15 verges de pénalité, premier essai.
Sean Oakman, the big fella. Late hit on the quarterback here.
You see him on the right of your screen trying to chase. As he comes in, trying to get rid of those type of hits when the quarterback's down. But putting all your weight on the quarterback is not something the league wants the defensive lineman to do, so there's the penalty.
Toronto midfield. Just a field goal so far in this game for the Argos. Arbuckle on the run. Had to throw that one away with some pressure in his face. Now 13 of 19 in the game.
Good defense keeping it, just dropping everybody in zone, giving Arbuckle no place to throw. He has to scramble away and throw it away. So Thorpe's changing up the pictures on every series after these couple of penalties flip the field for the Argos. Penalties lowest in 50 seasons last year. So that's this
positive,
week, right?
Positive
13
sign.
per game.
Keeps the games moving when everybody's being good boys down there. Disciplined football. And that one incomplete. Not sure who was supposed to be there. Ungerer and Brissett were both in the area, but neither had a play on that ball.
You can see some conversation between Nick trying to sort and Ungerer trying to sort out whether he was supposed to stop sooner, go deeper, not sure.
Montreal's defense outstanding so far in this one. Haggerty from his 45. Fletcher waits, now takes just inside the 15 and tried to reverse it back. D'Arcangelo was there to make the tackle on a packed evening in Montreal. They're loving their Alouettes on top. Welcome back to Montreal, where it's been a bit of a tough night for the Toronto Argonauts offensive line. For more on that, let's send it back down to Luke Wilson.
Yeah, you know, I watched this, and part of this whole offensive struggle right now for the Argos, it just feels like every yard is so tough to get. And I got to say, you tip your cap to Montreal, but the Argos are not helping themselves. Pre-snap, Arbuckle's got to be back here, and he's got to identify what's going on. And you look at this, you got a free hitter with Sankey, and whether that's on Arbuckle or the O-line, it's certainly unacceptable. Here you go, just a simple twist. We've got our right tackle doing a spin move himself, gets a holding call. Can't happen. They only bring 4. before. And once again, you look at this play here, a sack, you got a running back on a defensive lineman. How is this happening? And I think if you go back and you're the Argos and you talk Coach Dinwiddie and he watches this film, he's going to be upset with this entire operation because it's not as much of what the Montreal Alouettes are doing as much as you're just absolutely clueless up front.
Arbuckle struggling behind that line so far. Alexander on the other end. Alexander's done a good job getting outside of the pocket and making plays on the run, hasn't he?
Yeah, you know, it's the longer you're waiting back there and the longer you have time, guys get wide open because the zones are just going to break down. He's been able to do that and create with his legs. But the biggest thing is Montreal's been in second and medium, and the Argonauts have been in second or second and extra long. And that doesn't allow you to run the football, doesn't allow you to minimize your play calls. That's what Montreal's offense is doing a good job of now, being in manageable situations.
Empty backfield here for Alexander. Got that one away quickly. Bounce behind Rambo. And Parrish was saying, keep going. And Alexander is down, holding his knee. This is not good for the Montreal Alouettes. Oh, you do not want to see this. Takes over as the #1 guy, having a very good game. And now lays on the field in pain. Here's a look.
So as Calendar is blocking, he ends up throwing his defender into, I believe, into Davis Alexander's legs, unfortunately. It's good to see him get up and get off.
He is up and he is jogging off. So for now, sigh of relief for Alouettes fans and the coaching staff. And of course, Davis Alexander.
Good stop by the Argos defense. This is a backed up situation. This should create really good field position for the Argos here. This is a good stop for the Argos game.
Low snap. Zima goes and gets it. Lets it fly. Turner takes it at the 42. Going to try to stretch it outside. Nowhere to go, though. This is trouble. Cuts it back. Can't escape. Might have had some room if he could have got around Gagne, but he did not. Ends up losing 4 yards on that return.
The width of the field, you know, for young returners looks really good sometimes, Dusty, but the speed on the field, you sometimes just put your foot in the ground, get north-south. Get 4 yards instead of thinking you're going to flip the field and get 80 yards.
That's what he's thinking. He's thinking, oh, if I can just get up there, there's a ton of space. Like we mentioned, Janarian Grant not available for week 1.
5 touchdowns last season for Janarian. Just a spectacular football player.
The best in the biz.
Yep.
Alexander seems to be fine. Back diving into the iPad. That clears things out for Arbuckle. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Pressure in the pocket. Tries to spin away and will not. Uguak gets there. Takes him down.
So a chase. Uguak moving from... You'll see him playing at defensive end, an interior guy, and he's going to chase Arbuckle as Arbuckle starts to scramble. He doesn't like the picture. He has to spin back outside. Uguak is there. So there's just, as we talked about, there's no rhythm for the Argos right now. Right now they're sitting at 2nd and 20. Very hard to overcome this situation, and you're going to get the defensive line is going to tee off once again.
Another 9-yard loss for Toronto. Alouettes just send 4 this time. Arbuckle gets it away. McMahon gets popped on his way out of bounds by Ento.
As everybody drops out in coverage, you got to throw these checkdowns, and those aren't situations that it's going to help you get anywhere close to what you need for a first down. So, unfortunately, they had pretty good field position, but they just lose the yardage on first down. Force them to keep punting, keep backing up. Defense doing a great job for Montreal.
Haggerty, he's been busy tonight. Gets it away cleanly. A little bit of a lower kick. Let your weights. And hauls it in just inside the 30. Couple of blocks back to the 46 before he's pushed out of bounds at the end of the third quarter. Davis Alexander seems to be just fine, and he's been much, much better than that so far tonight for the Montreal Alouettes. Home crowd loving what they're seeing from a team that won 12 games last year. They're on their way to maybe picking up their first of this season tonight. Montreal Alouettes in their home opener leading the Argos 22-3. Rushing yards, big part of this ball game, 111-19. It's really allowed Montreal to control things offensively, hasn't it?
Yeah, and whether it's the Argonauts are in too many situations, sometimes as a play caller, you're in bad situations. You're in second extra, you're not going to run the ball. When you're in second and short, you can run the football. So they got to do better than 19 yards. They're averaging, I think, only 2.7 yards per run. They got to do something to slow down this pass rush of the Montreal Alouettes. So if they can do their best to try to get some of that, but, you know, you're down 22-3, you need to get, but you just got to establish some rhythm, Dustin, because otherwise it's going to be a long night. You're just being a second and long Toronto offensively too many times.
Davis Alexander remains in at quarterback after getting rolled up on a little bit. He's going to turn and then roll out to his left. Has a man. It's Mack. And that's a pickup of about 13 or 14. Let's send it down to Shinetti for the latest on Davis Alexander.
Well, the mobility didn't look too bad there, Dusty, but as you can notice right now, Davis Alexander is limping a little bit. When he came off the sidelines after going down, he didn't look at the trainers. The doctors didn't come up to him. He ran right up to Jason Moss and started talking about scheme. Just before he went back on the field, he looked down at that left knee and was gesturing to it. As I said, he is limping. Let's see if the Argos try to go ahead and force him out of the pocket and see how that leg is.
Yeah, because he's been great outside of the pocket so far tonight. If they can limit that, or if he's limited in it, could help things for the Argos. Here's Alexander. A lot of time. Now he's backpedaling. Heaves one up, and that will make it out of bounds and bring up 2nd and 10.
Not forcing anything. Trying to take a deep shot downfield. Good coverage by the Toronto defense, forcing him to hold the ball too long. And he just throws it out of bounds. Cameron Judge saying, I can play receiver too, going up and getting a nice catch out of bounds.
Picked up to play alongside McManus. Pretty good 1-2 punch in the middle of the defense. We're talking about Sankey and Beverett on the other side there for
Cameron
Montreal.
Judge.
But these guys should be able to do some damage too.
Absolutely. Good football player. Spent a couple years with the Argos a couple years ago.
2nd and 10 for the Alouettes. Argos will send 5. Alexander, deep shot. It's Philpott again, and he just misses. Had a step on the defender. Benji Franklin laid out and couldn't haul it in.
The one-on-one situation shows up again. Argos trying to do some pressure. You're going to see 5 people blitzing. It's going to put a one-on-one situation at the bottom of your screen. Tyson Philpott, good foot press, which calls stick move. Runs right by the defender. Puts himself in a good position on Benji Franklin here. Just a little bit overthrown.
Philpott is a couple of feet away from having just a monster night.
I do like Davis seeing the picture quickly, knowing where to go, and taking the one-on-one throw on the outside.
This one bounces. Turner picks it up. And once again is wrapped up immediately. Could be a big year for Tyson Philpott as Alexander has looked deep a number of times in his direction. CFL returns tomorrow as Bo Levi Mitchell makes his first return to Calgary in Hamilton black and gold as the Ticats take on the Stampeders. Catch all the action at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on TSN and CTV. And then, of course, Elks and Lions to wrap up week 1 in the Canadian Football League. Riders with the victory over Ottawa last night. Alouettes looking to claim victory against the Argos here tonight. Arbuckle from inside his end zone goes over the middle, one of his best throws of the ball game. That's all the way out to the 36-yard line, and it's Coxie.
First of all, great protection, but this is what you're going to see. You're going to clear out this high player, and you're going to send a player behind it, and you're going to try to throw it in the zone. And that's what you see right here. Coxie, a great throw on the inside. By spacing the field using the zone plays.
Now they find Ungerer, and he's got a first down. Coxie now with 5 catches for 99 yards. Here's another look at it.
You can see it from Nick's view here. He's just buying some time because he knows, all right, we've moved the deep player over. We put our tallest guy in a zone over the top of the linebackers and underneath the coverage. Good throw and catch and great protection by the Argos.
Back-to-back first downs takes them outside their 50. That pass blocked by Sankey. And it'll be 2nd and 10.
Little pressure. Sankey, when he gets off the edge, he sees the ball thrown quickly. When quarterbacks see pressure, they throw the ball quickly. What do you do as a defensive lineman or linebacker? Throw your hands up, try to knock the ball down. The league, Dustin, has gone to so much more quick throws. When I first came in the league 20 years ago, there was a lot more downfield. Completion percentages are up because everybody's throwing the ball quicker. How do you stop that? Put your hands up and knock the ball down.
3 options out to the left here for Arbuckle. That's where he looks first. That's where he's going to throw. Down the field. Drops it in there. At the 10. Ento was defending, but Ungerer got his hands on it. Spectacular catch. And Toronto is in business here in the 4th quarter.
Ungerer with a beautiful throw, a beautiful catch here. Nick Arbuckle with a great throw. There's the one-on-one. Throw it on the outside on Ento. Great location by Nick. Ungerer, great. Coming back to the football, finding it. As Toronto gets right up to the line of scrimmage to go play football real quickly. They're trying to go tempo. Get the ball snapped right away.
Still a ton of time. 11 minutes remaining in this ball game. If Toronto can punch one in here, it's game on. Arbuckle, far side, has the completion. Daniels trying to push ahead, leans out, and they're going to say touchdown. What an effort from Tavares Daniels. And the veteran gives the Argos some life.
Great plan of attack. Great throw to the sideline. Just put it out there on the sideline on the quick outcut where it's only Tavares Daniels. Corner tries to come up and make it. Burns, but Daniels does his best. Move him out of here. Good hit right there. Understanding where he is on the field to extend the football. That's a great drive. Nick Arbuckle hits a bunch of good shots. Finishes it into the end zone. Brings some life to that Argos sideline. So really good drive here by the Argonauts. Really good throw at the end of that. Wake your plays. They made their plays versus man and versus zone. So a standing job by the Argos offense.
Exactly what they needed. A 5-play, 101-yard drive that took just 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Argos waste no time on that critical drive that they had to have. They now trail by 12. Tavares Daniels, what a stretch. Had just enough to get the job done. He's been doing it for pretty much a decade in the Canadian Football League. And he continues to move up the all-time leaders list. Second among active players in receiving yards in the league behind only Gino Lewis, Lapo.
Really good understanding where he was on the football field. He could extend, make that play in the end zone to get that play. Really good read by Nick Arbuckle. Good execution down on the goal line.
Arlahu set to boot it away. And the always dangerous Letcher waits back. They'll kick it away from him. It'll be taken on the far side. Returned up along the sideline by Richards. Let's take another look at that TD.
Yeah, let's take a look at what the quarterback is looking at on this concept. You're going to have a person going deep. You're going to have a person going out to the sideline. What is the quarterback going to read? This player. If that player backs up at all, you're throwing the out cut. Because I'll tell you, Lorenzo Burns recognizes this and does a good job of leaving his go route and coming up to make a play. But Devarius Daniels understands where he is on the field, extends the ball. So really good read by Nick, reading the corner. The corner backs up. I'm going to throw the out cut. And Devarius Daniels makes the extra effort play for the touchdown. Great job by the Argos.
Travis Tice into the game at running back. He'll stand to the left of Davis Alexander. And he'll get the ball. This time he runs into some traffic. Back to the line of scrimmage. No further. Anthony Lanier, Jordan Williams clogging up the middle of that defensive line.
And you can just see after a big touchdown like that, the offense moves right down the field. All of a sudden, the spark of the defense, they're ready to go. They're like, hey, we're going to make a stop. We're going to give you the ball right back, and let's get back into this football game.
Haven't been many 2nd and 10 situations for Davis Alexander and this Montreal offense thus far tonight. Argos send 5. Alexander on the right, dumps it off to Rambo. He's got a first down. McManus will eventually throw him to the turf. But almost to midfield, another play made by the quarterback on the run.
And here's the hardest part of this stuff. You know, you come out and you play zone coverage. Okay, you got zone coverage up on the field, but watch as the quarterback scrambled. The low zone player doesn't know what to do. So as he comes in, he starts to go, I'm going to go play coverage. Nope, I'm going to go get the quarterback. Nobody's now for the receiver. So that's the hard part. You got to stay with your people as long as you can. They leave them. You go up, take the quarterback. Nobody in that spot of the zone. Throw to Rambo. That's what Davis Alexander brings to this new offense.
Now they'll get it out to Tice. And he pushes ahead. McManus on the tackle again. But they've been big offensive chunks for Travis Tice in his CFL debut tonight.
Yeah, quick screen. You get that screen out, put yourself at 2nd and 1. Nice. Get it out to a guy in space who can break tackles. That's good to do. Do that as much as you can. You got a really athletic guy who's going to break tackles, put the ball out on the perimeter.
Team leading 7 tackles for McManus as a knockdown as well. Caleb Evans into the game for the 2nd and inches, has a touchdown in a similar situation earlier today to push ahead. And he's got it this time easy. Break up the middle for about 3 or 4 yards.
Good wedge snap. Caleb's done very good for Montreal last couple of years. Did some of that in Ottawa. But good numbers for Davis Alexander here. You know, good start out for him. And I really like how Jason Moss and Anthony Calvillo called the game for him, giving him opportunities to take shots downfield, but also high percentage throws. Don't put him in tough situations, any long yardage situations.
You mentioned Calvillo. This is an organization that's gone through a lot of quarterbacks since Calvillo. And they're hoping they found one here in Davis Alexander. He's got a completion near side. That's Cole Speaker. His 2nd catch of the ball game. First down, Montreal.
You know, once again, this is a wide receiver screen out on the perimeter. Ball's out immediately. But the receiver's got to block, and that's what I feel good about this receiving core out here, doing a good job. Look at Tyson Philpott. He's working hard. You know, I always used to say this to the players. Hey, screens stink if you don't block, guys, on the perimeter. Make sure you do some blocking, and we'll call a lot of wide receiver screens. You see the effort from the wide receivers from Montreal to help each other, help Speaker get that first down yardage.
12-yard pickup for Speaker. 5th receiver to have multiple catches tonight for the Alouettes. Now they'll hand it off. Tough Thomas Erlington takes it down inside the 25 as the Alouettes with a real back-breaking drive here midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and they will everything be very sharp here. Just make sure you just stay on schedule. Make sure you can kick a field goal. Keep pushing this score up to a 15-point lead.
Excellent start last year for the Alouettes. 10-1 on the campaign to start. It did not end the way they wanted after that loss to Toronto in the East Final, but they were outstanding out of the gate last year. Thomas Erlington, heavy blow from Donald Rutledge. Looks like he's been wobbled a little bit. Rutledge with the Bombers a couple of years ago.
Yeah, came in from the perimeter linebacker, the strong side linebacker. Jumped into the hole, no lineman there to block. Was able to make the tackle on the inside zone play. See him show up right in your screen here, unblocked.
Injury spotter is going to take Rutledge out of this game. Pretty easy call on that one, I think. He's going to get the first crack alongside McManus and Cam Judge for the Argos this year. Maltos 0 for 1 tonight. He missed from 38. This one will be from 31. Straight away, I mentioned earlier in the game, almost 92% last year. Only Sean White and Paredes with a better field goal percentage than Maltos. And no mistake there, right down the middle. And the lead is 15 with 5:39 on the clock. And our first Friday night football affair of the season. Tyrese Beveretz, huge season last year for the Montreal Alouettes. Best defensive player in the East last year, I would think. 23 defensive stops last season, 102 tackles, 9 special teams tackles, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, all CFL last year. And a big part of what they've got cooking here again. Lots of other playmakers on this defense tonight for the Alouettes. So now multiple flags fly.
You know, in our conversation with Tyrese this week, you know, he always talked to me from Stony Brook, which is a smaller college.
Procédure illégale, illegal procedure, Toronto, number 58, numéro 58, 5 verges de pénalité, premier repris, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Back to Tyrese, he talked a lot about, like, I have to fight for all the accolades I got. I had to fight to get to the, you know, to get NFL opportunities. I had to fight to get CFL opportunities. So not often do you get guys who come into the league as a special teams player and they play for a team, played for Hamilton, was spectacular. Then Montreal signs him to become a full-time starter. A lot of times that doesn't work. It has worked spectacularly for this football player.
Arbuckle, time in the pocket, shot down the field, wide open and dropped in behind the defense was Daniels, but he could not hold on. Oh, he'd want another crack at that, wouldn't he?
Yes, as Arbuckle climbs the pocket. When you're talking to your quarterbacks, hey, if you climb the pocket and you have time, make sure you're looking downfield for the deep shots. Okay, they move a double move where they keep the corner low, pin the halfback inside. Great scheme and execution. They just don't finish with the catch. Good protection, good pocket, climbing up. You got to finish with a catch.
Second and 15. Bouncing around again. Steps up. Now he's got to run it to the 45 and tripped up just shy of the first down.
Should be a 3rd and 1 chance for them to go for it.
That's what he's given them here.
Yeah.
Right? A great job.
And but that previous play, it's hard to get people that wide open in long yardage and zone situations, and they just got to hit that. They got to make that catch.
3rd and 1. Arbuckle, shotgun again, hands it off, quick cut back. And I think that initial push will be enough.
Really nice
for the
cut.
first down.
Penetration at the point of attack.
That's McMahon.
McMahon recognizes that penetration, cuts behind it, and then he just keeps his shoulders turned and gets north-south, understanding the situational football that it is 3rd and 1. See a little bit of penetration here. Good jump cut to get behind it, get the shoulders, the yardage for the first down.
That cut got him exactly what they needed. They need 15 points here somehow in 3.5 minutes. Arbuckle hit as he throws. Ungerer went up for it through his hands and out the other side, working against Lorenzo Burns.
I think this is where Nick Arbuckle needs to go with the football, but I love the play of Lorenzo Burns here, just driving, coming underneath, and making a play on the football. That's the softness of the defense, but Burns closes the distance, makes that great play. Really good, really great play by Lorenzo Burns. Got an interception tonight, correct, Greg?
Having himself a game. Just 5 games last year, starting there at that corner spot this year. And it's paying off tonight. Arbuckle down the field. Nobody there. It was well over the head of Daniels.
Trying to get Devaris Daniels in his middle of the field. Daniels went underneath the linebacker. Nick expected him to go over the top of the linebacker. On the poison route, Dustin. That's what they call a poison route.
That doesn't sound good.
Poison.
That doesn't sound good at all.
It is when it works, buddy. So force a 3rd and 10. Big play for the Argos here.
Ungerer to the top of your screen. It'll be Coxie by himself, working against Lorenzo Burns at the bottom of your screen. Arbuckle, far side, drops it in there. And it's Ungerer who came back to it and managed to hang on for a huge first down, 14 yards for Toronto. Argos trying to stay alive with the Montreal Alouettes lead 25-10, flying high on Friday night. Toronto Argonauts huddle up here, trying to keep this drive going, and this last play certainly helped.
And Nick Arbuckle talked about David Ungerer, just has so much trust he has in him as a football player. Can play multiple spots, understands everything in the system.
Over the middle and intercepted, taken away by who else? It's Beverett to seal the deal for the Alouettes in their home opener. Big players make big plays in big moments, and Beverett did just that.
Takeaways is the story of this football team. Okay, you're going to see the linebacker dropping out. It's going to be a post right here, but you have to see this linebacker. Beverett is going to leave the line of scrimmage and come underneath, and he doesn't expand. When he doesn't expand, you can't throw the ball to that post and the inside. He fools Nick Arbuckle thinking that he's expanding, that he can throw it in there. Excellent play by the outstanding football player, making the tremendous interception, kind of fooling the quarterback.
Had 2 interceptions last year and an outstanding season, and now pushing ahead for a first down and much more. Thomas Erlington, 18 yards.
Yeah, you can see him dropping back for depth. Then he works inside. Can't throw it when he works inside. Tips the ball, recovers it himself. Huge takeaway. And again, this is what the Alouettes talked about. Jason Moss talked about in the meeting. Hey, we dropped 12 interceptions last year. We can be better than we were last year. And that's what they talked about in training camp, that we need to make sure we can perform as well as possible. We need to go steal the ball, take the ball away. There's another example. Multiple takeaways in this football game, and they had a score on defense. So that's a great start for this Montreal Alouettes defense.
All right, it's been a good night for the Montreal Alouettes. And more on this impressive start to the season for Montreal. Let's send it down to Luke Wilson.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. I got to tip my cap to Coach Moss, the offensive coordinator, Anthony Calvillo. The whole offense has been incredible. And I look at it from a player's perspective here. You're really dominating this game, and you give up the touchdown to the Argos. Kind of a fluke ordeal. You have the big play, and it's a great touchdown by Daniels. And you sit here and you say, okay, maybe this team has some life, talking about Toronto now. And you come back out, and it's a masterful play drive. Starts with your quarterback extending this play, finding an open man, kind of bailing you out, getting a big first down. And then again, Coach Moss just gets in his bag. You see the Argos are playing downhill. They're trying to stop the run. This is a glorified run. Little bubble to your running back. Okay, they're still playing downhill. You got a big slot receiver. Easy pitch and catch. You're blocking. You're gashing them. You come, you take points on, you put points on the board. You have a ton of play time that just came off. It's demoralizing for the Argos. You think you have a shot for a second, and you say absolutely not. You handle business. As an ex-offensive guy, I love to see it. You got to tip your cap to the Montreal Alouettes offense tonight. They've been incredible.
Well, how about this in the drive that Luke was just describing? 5 minutes in the middle of the fourth quarter. So a very good job there from the Alouettes, and a very good job from our newest guy, Luke Wilson, on the sidelines tonight. Yeah,
really good. Really good.
Great night. Awesome addition.
I've never stood next to him, so today, standing next to Dustin and Luke Wilson, I feel really short. I do. I
You're
really
a pretty
do.
good-sized man, though.
I'm 6 feet.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah, and I'll tell you the other thing is the amazing job our panel did traveling from Regina, a tough place to travel all the way out here to East Coast and heading back to studio tomorrow. So amazing job by our panel traveling across the country.
No rest for the wicked.
Yes, and they're going again tomorrow.
Safe travels to that crew as they head back tomorrow. The traffic, I guess I'll be walking back to the hotel. Busy night in Montreal.
Looking forward to seeing this Ticats Stampeders game tomorrow. You know, for me, the Ticats, I'm really interested to see what happens with this defense for the Tiger Cats this season. You know, can they improve to help that offense? And
you know, the offense is going to be good, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Clock ticks down to the final couple of minutes. Alexander looking to put the finishing touches on an Alouettes victory. Hands it off. Early. What have you thought of him? I mean, they let Fletcher go. We've talked a little bit about Tice, but for now, the main back is Sean Thomas Erlington getting an opportunity here to be a #1 guy in his career. What do you think?
Yeah, and he's always been. Every time he's had opportunities to play, you never felt like, oh, you know, we can finish. You always want this when you play your second string running back. If there's an injury for 5 weeks, you want to go, all right, I can play that guy for 5 weeks and make sure I don't have to fly somebody in, get somebody in, or the practice squad. He's done that. Every time he gets the opportunity to play, performs very well. Good signing by them last year. Gives them a lot of depth at the running back position.
72 yards and 14 carries. This is 15. And he pushes ahead for 4, almost 5 more.
You know, this is a team, this is good to see out of this Montreal Alouettes team because, you know, I know an area they want to improve in, or I think they would want to be improving is running the football. Last year, they did not run the football great. This gives them plenty of opportunities. I think last year, they 7th in the CFL running the football, only 80 yards a game, 8th in the CFL. So this gives them a lot of reps, a lot of film to look at. Good execution, they can be confident going into the next week.
84.3 yards per game on the ground last year, 155 and counting so far tonight. Nice spin move ahead, and a good chunk on first down again for Thomas Erlington. Toronto's offense just 275 yards.
I liked what Jason
tonight.
Moss said in our meeting. We talked about a little bit about the coach of the year. You know, he was obviously coach of the year last season, and he talked about how much it was an organizational win for Montreal. It wasn't just about me. You know, he was excited to see the guys on his team have success last season, as well as his staff get the accolades. And he's turned the page to come to a new year.
On the ground again, this time they'll be stopped short of the first down, a couple of yards.
And you'll see Toronto now. We'll see what Toronto does next weekend, whether Chad Kelly will factor in Dustin. We'll see if he ends up back on the roster. We see him, spoke to him before the game, thought he would be ready to go. See what the coaches have to say about Chad Kelly being ready.
Toronto at home for a battle with Calgary next Saturday. Montreal will go down the road to Ottawa. I thought it was a battle of two really good teams last night. I think the Riders, I think many are expected to be a good team, and I thought Ottawa held really tight with them last night.
Yeah, made it a game at the end of the game, was able to get right back into it.
Maltos from 30, and that one is up and through, and the lead is now 18 for the Alouettes, who took control of this game on the ground relatively early and never really looked back.
Yeah, Montreal right now is sitting at 163 yards rushing in this football game compared to Toronto Argonauts 34. So, yeah, I like the plan. You heard Luke talk about it. It's like, hey, we're going to make sure that we can run the football. We can get our quick screen game going. We'll eventually take a couple of shots. But we trust that our defense will do its job and keep people out of the end zone and take the football away. That's a good recipes for success for this football team.
What's a win do? Davis Alexander 4-0 last year, now 5-0. But 1-0 this year. The job is yours. You're our guy. What does this do for his confidence moving forward?
Well, you know, I just think every opportunity, I'll go to the coaches. Every opportunity they get with Davis Alexander to call a game for him, because they've only called 4 games for him, right? The other game plan, the one win they had, wasn't his game plan. So every opportunity they get to see how he handles their scheme makes everybody better in the offensive room. Makes Davis better, makes the coaches know how to call a game better for him. And, you know, sometimes young quarterbacks, they don't have success because of other factors around them. Let's say you are on a team and you're a good young quarterback, but you're facing a team that your team doesn't have a very good defense. Well, you're always behind and all this. He's at a perfect spot because he's with a great defense that's going to not make him take over a football game.
Turner on the return takes it just outside the 40. Of course, no Janarian Grant tonight for the Argos, and that impacts their special games in a rather significant fashion.
So there'll be some growing pains for the Argos. And I think about last year, the Argos, it was an amazing thing they did last year. Number 1 in the CFL in scoring offense with 3 different quarterbacks playing. It was the first time since 1997 that the Argos led the CFL on offense. And I think there was a guy named Flutie who was the quarterback for that team. Not a bad guy, but I'm sure everybody's waiting to see that guy, Chad Kelly, get back in with his deep ball potential.
Arbuckle dumps it off to Ryan Williams. Had a great camp. We didn't see too much of him tonight. We didn't really see much of the Toronto rushing attack at all.
Mayan Williams is a small bowling ball of a football player. He's really, 237 pounds at 5'8".
I had to take a double check it. I double checked that on my stats. I thought, wait a second.
Yeah.
Are we sure that's what this guy is?
No, I came into the league years ago as a running back coach, and I had a guy named Michael Jenkins. It reminds me of Michael Jenkins for the Argonauts years ago.
The Alouettes do exactly what they wanted to. Home opener, beautiful Friday nights, convincing 28-10 victory over their rivals from Toronto, the very team that ended their Grey Cup aspirations last year. What do you think?
I think defensively they did what they normally do. They keep people out of the end zone for the majority of the game. They get takeaways. They score on defense. And they were able to run the football. And I just think there are too many mistakes for Toronto early in the game, put them in long yardage situations against a good defense. And Davis Alexander performed well enough to win the football game. Had a great shot for the touchdown, but he used his legs and managed the football game. So, Montreal is going to be a very tough team to beat, Dustin, when they're playing like this defensively and the quarterback can create with his legs.
Gave up very little on the defensive side of the ball, and the offensive side of the ball more than good enough on our Friday night football opener. Davis Alexander remains perfect as a starter in his young CFL career, going to 5-0, 205 yards passing, 50 more on the ground as well. He's got a ton of weapons, and they all started to click tonight as they take an 8-0 lead at the end of the first quarter and end up winning this game 28-10. That's going to do it for us from Montreal. Let's send it off to Sports Center with Wesley Chan and Jennifer Hedger.